Hi, my name is Casey, and this is what I learned from playing Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania is bad. No, I mean, Sonic Mania is good, it's just that it's the little... Sonic in general is a little hard for me to talk about. You see, I'm not exactly a seasoned Sonic fan. The highlights of my previous Sonic experience are watching the wonky Sonic Adventure cutscenes and uninstalling Sonic 1 for my Wii after I couldn't get past Green Hill Zone. I loved a lot of challenging platformers growing up. Castlevania, Mega Man, Transformers, Coneboy no Nazo! Some of my favorite games are stupid and difficult and frustrating and make me mad, but not in the way Sonic makes me mad. It's so conventionally different from anything I've ever played, to the point that it feels like it's trying to stand out so much that it sacrifices good game design for game design that's quirky. For instance, Sonic's life being rings is an interesting concept, but losing all of them at once might as well mean you only get one. Sonic's central idea of speed is fun, but a lot of levels are pretty complacent in just letting you watch Sonic bounce and run around the stage without any need to touch the controller. And even though this does benefit the feeling of speed and quickness, the game is pretty keen on throwing an obstacle at the end of the critical path just to punish you for not knowing it was there. Sonic games like to punish a lot of the more slow and deliberate actions that my favorite platformers require, which is why I assumed most of his games were just toilet trash meant for the garbage, at least in regards to my more fine tastes. And yet still, Sonic fans I knew insisted the game could click for me. No, they said, a lot of levels in Sonic really do integrate the mechanics well, you just gotta give it a chance. Years later, I finally did decide to give it another chance with the release of Sonic Mania. With levels curated and created by fans of the series, Mania seemed like the perfect place for a newcomer to jump in and experience the best Sonic had to offer. Once a Sonic hater, the Mania hype turned me into a Sonic believer. The music sounded amazing, the animations were full of character, and levels were updated to be long and sprawling with many different paths to explore. Something I adore about classic side-scrollers. Maybe this was finally going to be the Sonic game that really worked for me. And I mean, kinda! The characters are still so fun and full of life, and the music is... well, let's be honest, there's never been anything wrong with classic Sonic music. It's always been perfect. It's the fact that it's still so much like classic Sonic that throws me off. There are still spikes at the end of a path for a cheap kill. The levels are now sprawling, but the layout can be so confusing. The stupid time limit will probably kill you before you see the whole thing. And rings still explode out of Sonic after one mistake. God, the fucking rings. Trial and error is understandable in video games. It takes time to figure out what works and what doesn't. But in Sonic games, if you make an error, that's fucking it! Your rings are gone. Better not slip up again, idiot, cause you got no rings, you got no lives, and if Metal Sonic so much as breathes in your direction, you're gonna have to do the whole fucking stage over again! From Act 1! Come on, just make this jump. Fuck! Please, just hit him once. God! Come on, just fucking, come on! Oh! Good. Hi, yes, M&L Plumbing? What? What do you mean you don't plumb anymore? See, while I was... Yeah, it's playing Sonic again. Sonic Mania? How is it? See, it's good. No, it's bad. No, you see, it's kind of hard for me to talk about it because, you know, I'm making a YouTube video about it if you wanted to check that. Hello? So, Sonic can obviously be kind of frustrating for me. I love a lot of the aesthetics and style, but the gameplay gets in the way of me enjoying it. Or, maybe more accurately, the aesthetics and style get in the way of me enjoying the gameplay. Sonic Mania looks like the beautiful classic side-scrollers I love. Hell, it even looks better than most of them. But it doesn't play anything like one, but that's not inherently a bad thing. See, if there was something fatally wrong with Sonic's gameplay, it wouldn't have such a dedicated fanbase. A dedicated fanbase that went so far as to make a Sonic game themselves to prove that the franchise still has potential. But the game still didn't feel good to me, and as I griped more and more about Sonic Mania Online, more and more Sonic fans came forward telling me that the charm comes from the design choices I thought were flaws. They taught me that Sonic puts spikes right at the edge of the screen not for a cheap kill, but so that you'll remember to jump when you inevitably have to play the stage again. The game takes away all your rings in one hit not to frustrate you, but to teach you cautiousness, so you'll carefully but quickly avoid every stage hazard. Many stages aren't sprawling so that you can look at and collect everything in one go. They're made that way so players have multiple paths to take on multiple playthroughs. Starting over from Act 1 in a zone really fucking sucks, but it's so you can prove yourself and say, yeah, I've already beat this, I can get through it in a second. It took me kind of a while to lean into this perspective on Sonic Mania, till I remembered Transformers Mystery of Convoy. Transformers Convoy no Nazo is a Japanese NES game that I played so much in middle school that I am now immune to bright flashing lights. For some reason, I was so obsessed with beating it that I learned how to quickly load and reload save states in order to repeat segments over and over again until I had mastered just about every part of the game. The level design of Mystery of Convoy was really uninspired, to say the least, but it still felt really good to conquer something that felt like it was against me from the start. And then I realized that's how playing Sonic is supposed to feel. Memorization and repetition are the keys to mastering a level, so that by the time you finally do conquer a whole zone, you can do it in an instant. It's satisfying once it finally happens. There's still a lot that I find wrong with the Sonic franchise's core design elements. Cheap deaths will feel cheap no matter the good intentions. Putting spikes or a spring at the end of a running segment will still make a player angry no matter what it's supposed to teach. And rings are just dumb. But all these concepts still clearly serve a purpose. Yeah, even rings. So I can say Sonic Mania is good, even to the point where I can admit, yeah, some of the more annoying things it does have purpose. But I can also say it's bad. It's bad in that it's bad for people expecting a true-to-form classic platforming side-scroller like I wanted it to be. But both of those sentiments are kind of useless to the point I'm trying to make. What did Sonic Mania teach me? Well, mostly, it taught me that I can hate a game's design, but it can still work in the end. Overall, it seems that what could be a fatal flaw to one player is what makes a game special for another. I just hope that in the event of a Sonic Mania sequel, the development team decides to stray away from the strict classic Sonic formula and maybe bring us something that still feels like Sonic but can work in a very different way. After all, Sonic is about doing something over and over again until you get it right. With Sonic, you gotta play it over and over. Shit! Sonic is about doing stuff blow over and blow.
You just gotta play it a lot. A lot!
After all, Sonic is about doing something over and over again until you get it perfect.